So in this video, we're going to talk about how to perform operations with integers. So remember, the sign rules are what you really need to keep track of when you're performing operations with integers, because integers can be positive or negative. So it's important to keep track of the signs of integers and the rules for combining by adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. So the sign rules for addition: when you're adding integers with the same sign, you're going to add the numbers together and keep the sign. So if we have 4 plus 10, we're just going to add them together, and that gives us 14, and both numbers are positive, so they're just going to stay positive. If we're doing negative 6 plus negative 5, we're going to keep the sign because both of them are negative, and then we're going to add 6 and 5 together so that our answer is negative 11. If you're adding integers that have different signs, you're actually going to subtract the numbers and then keep the sign of the number that's larger. So for example, if we're doing negative 7 plus 12, notice that 12 is the larger number. So we're going to make our answer positive, but then we're going to find the difference between 12 and 7. The difference between 12 and 7 is 5, so our final answer is positive 5. On the other hand, if we're doing negative 15 plus 3, 15 is the bigger number and it's negative, so that means our final answer is going to be negative. Since the numbers have different signs, we're going to find the difference between the two numbers, which is 12, and so negative 12 is our final answer. So when you're subtracting integers, it's a good idea to just go ahead and change it into addition. And we can do this using what's called the additive inverse, which is the opposite of the number that we have. Then you can actually use the rules of addition to simplify the problem. So for example, if I'm doing negative 5 minus 7, I'm actually going to think about it as negative 5 plus negative 7. So you see, I changed it into an addition, and then instead of this being a positive 7, I made it a negative 7. So now I can just use the rules I had for adding two negative numbers, which means if the signs are the same, the answer has the same sign, and then I add the two numbers together, so I have negative 12. If I'm doing 12 minus 8, I'm going to think about it as 12 plus negative 8. So since they have opposite signs, I'm going to take the sign of the bigger number, which is positive, and then I'm going to find the difference between 12 and 8, and that's 4. I know it's a little silly to do that because you can do 12 minus 8, which is 4, but I just wanted to show you in terms of these sign rules. If we have 4 minus negative 2, I can change it into a 4 plus positive 2, right? Because when we change it to addition, we switch the sign. And so now I'm just adding together two positive numbers, so I just have 4 plus 2, which is 6. So the sign rules for multiplication and division: when you're multiplying or dividing integers that have the same sign, your answer is always going to be positive. So if we have negative 5 times negative 4, the two negatives cancel out and we just have 20. If we're doing negative 12 divided by negative 3, the two negatives cancel out and we just have 4. If we're multiplying or dividing integers that have the opposite sign, the result is always negative. So if we have negative 7 times 3, the result is going to be a negative, and then 7 times 3, which is 21. If we're doing 10 divided by negative 2, they have opposite signs, so we do negative, and then we do 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So in summary, remember, these are the rules. So for addition, when you're doing same signs, you add the number and keep the sign. When you're doing different signs, subtract the numbers and then keep the sign of the larger number. Subtraction, we're going to change to addition using the additive inverse and then follow the rules of addition. When you're multiplying or dividing, if you have the same signs, the answer is positive. Different signs, the answer is negative.